All right, I got a chicken and an egg situation as usual. I've got to figure out how I'm going to attach a splitter to this bottom area, and then I have to basically make it look like it's part of the design. So after looking at it and studying on it for a while, I guess I just started to start with the obvious, which will be the splitter itself. What I'm doing here is I've just taped a piece of board to the quarter-inch board to the floor, and I've center lined it with using a plumb bob. This will be center line here. See, I've got a plumb bob running down through there to get this dead center. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer aspects of this nose that I feel like are very important down to this pattern, so that I have a flat pattern which I can base the idea of how I want the splitter to look, and then I'll basically eyeball it from there and see what I can come up with from there. So that's where I'm at. It's kind of like it's less of a science and more of an art at this point. So I'll just have to take it slow, back and forth, and see what I can see. All right, in order for me to continue developing that underside of the nose, I had to figure out a method of attachment for these little side grills that go alongside the center grill. The center grill's right in the middle. It attaches pretty easy. There's some flanges that stick out with holes in them. You can bolt straight through them, straight through the top. Works real easy, real simple. This, on the other hand, this little piece here is meant to fit in behind the molded portion of the Challenger nose. And so being that it's got these clips, you can see, so it's not a finished piece. It's meant to, there's probably some tabs that fit through here, and then you push it and it snaps in. Well, I don't have that opportunity to do that. I don't have these pieces that I would need for that, to accommodate that. So I had to make something myself that basically substitutes for that eventually I can bring my metal to. In other words, something that this piece will be able to be attached to when it's all finished, but that'll be steel that I could, like I said, bring all my metal to this piece here. What I ended up doing was I took a 3/8 piece of 045 steel, and I put it down and around this opening here to define that. And once I got that established, then I took and I made a little perimeter pattern, which was basically just a paper pattern that would fit around this opening here. And let's see which way it goes here. Basically, that's the pattern that fits over there. And then I made this piece in 2 halves, split it down the middle so that I could cut out the inner part and then work it to get it to fit around this piece that was vertical. Set this down over top of it in steel, and then just tacked it a couple of places because it's plastic, it'll melt, can't weld it up there on the top side. Then I took it out, flipped it over, and then I welded it on the back side around here, and whatever was sticking up, because I had this thing pushed down as far as it would go, flush with this housing here. And then once it was flat, I turned it over, and like I said, I welded this all up and turned it over, and anything that was sticking up still, I just ground it off solid like that. In addition to that, there's really no place to attach to here that's decent to just run a screw through or a rivet or anything like that. So I took both of these tabs here and just drilled some clearance holes in them. And so I'm just going to take these little tiny screws here and go straight through into a couple of vertical tabs that I have welded here on either side. These are self-tapped, so hopefully that'll work out just fine. And just for right now, I just need something to be able to attach a flange to screw it up to the nose on the bottom side, to position it, make sure it's in the right spot so that it's a launch pad for any sheet metal that would come off the sides or to the bottom side of this piece. It's a little bit of a project, but anyway, I got one of them done. All right, it's a little bit hard to see under here, but basically I've added this end piece here. This piece of plastic that's attached to it basically lines it up with this other inner grill here. And now I've got to basically do a wrap around here and see how that all looks. So that's what I'm working on now. Well, this has been a week of trial and error, trying to get this thing to look somewhat right. A couple of things I've had to consider. I've had to mock up what will eventually be the signal light that's going to be over here in the corner, which I had originally planned excuse me, to be behind this side section of the grill that has to be added. So before I could really do any of that, I had bought these cheap aftermarket headlights, cheap relative to the OE stuff. The OE stuff is out of control. And because I needed the housing for where the signal light fits in. In other words, that part extracts out of the back of the Hellcat. This is the signal light right here. It's a little cone with a Hellcat piece that slides in here. One side's dammed up. Of course, this just comes off this cover. The other side's a through vent to go into the air box. But at any rate, I'll have both of them open. This is independent of the rest of this headlight, which I didn't want to disturb this because there's all kinds of crossover wires and transformers and circuit plates and everything, and it's all identified with the car, so I wanted to keep this all together. So I wanted to take the signal light out of the center here and then transfer it to the bottom underneath the nose. So basically that's what I'm up to figuring out. The housing's pretty large, and before I punched a hole in the tin on the bottom of the nose to accommodate this piece, I wanted to make sure this all looked good. And I had it completely mocked up yesterday and really hated the way it was looking. This piece on the side here was way too far out. The bottom grill looked too much like a toothy grin. And so looking at it, I moved everything inboard a little bit. I'm still working on all this to make sure that this is all going to work, but I finally acquiesced, and this is the full grill on the bottom. In order to get this all to work, I have to move this inboard here, so I'm in the middle right now of trying to splice that all together to make that work, so this looks reasonably natural in that location. And then that signal light will go in behind here but still have the hole in the center, so this vent will actually work right there. I thought about moving the signal light over to this section here, which they may end up happening, but until I get this all abbreviated and narrowed up so that it doesn't look too wide for the car, I won't be able to see what that looks like. Either this one or this one is going to end up being where the signal light goes here. Anyway, so that's what I've been doing. Doesn't look like I've done a lot, but I've been up and down on this floor about 350 million times, and my shoulder and my back feel like it. But this is where I'm at right now. Okay, so it's been in the past. The bane of my existence is trying to glue these ABS parts together or fasten them together, since there's really nothing that dissolves this stuff properly. They don't sell this stuff anymore, I guess. Anyway, so what I'm having to do is there's some ribs on the back of this piece here, and I need to have an attachment point that I can attach through this grill to tie this piece and this piece together mechanically. So what I've got here is a piece of an aluminum piece that's going to fit in over these ribs here, like that. It'll screw in through the top rib and screw in through the bottom rib, and that'll give me a surface here where I could put either screw it in with self-tapping screws or a machine, a nut, probably a nutsert of some type will probably be the preferable way to go. But anyway, I'll have to modify this piece here to go around all of this mess once I get it all straightened out. But yeah, hopefully I'm heading in the right direction with this. All right, so I've mended these two pieces together in this little side grill. I put that piece of aluminum in. I riveted it in. As you can see, here's it's riveted to the bottom rim and also to the top rim. Threw some hot glue around the perimeter, just as a little insurance. Anyways, I put some nutserts in with this gun here. Basically, this is a large nutsert that I'm using some small ones right now, just with a 1024. And then I put these little pieces of plastic to fill out the distance from the bottom here to the top, so that when I tighten down these screws with the washer, that I can actually tighten it down securely and it won't back out. Anyway, that's what's going on there. I put a lot of hot glue in here too, just to kind of reinforce it. And now I've got one piece. I'm not fumbling around with that end piece. It following this piece that's on there, it changes direction just a little bit. It flattens out a little bit at the end here. It's got a curve and then it flattens out. So now I've got one piece to deal with. I'll probably put this back on here because this is going to be my transition to my metal. So I've got to do a little clearance at the top, get this to fit back on here. And that's what I'll use to attach my side panel to. Anyway, that's where I'm at with that. So moving on. Okay, I'm still in the process of trying to adjust everything here. I've had this completely installed at one point, and I just didn't like the way it was looking. Each time I put it all together, there's something a little bit off about it that bugs me. So I've decided to pull it all back apart again and take the grill itself and move it further back towards the radiator. It felt like everything was too heavy underneath here, just too much underbite, if you will. Also on the side here, the side panel looked like it was right on the outside. Everything looked way too bulky. I'm going to try again to see if I can't readjust everything in. It's back about 2 inches further than it was before, as far as getting this lower grill tucked in a little bit further. And it's narrowed up about 2 more inches over here on the side. I know I didn't show you what it looked like before, but it looked too horsey for me to even want to take a picture of it, truthfully. So I'm going to try and mock it up again and see how it all looks. Okay, so this is the latest of about maybe 6 iterations, different versions of this front air dam. This is the latest one. This one, I had sent the last one off to some videos and some pictures to Randy, and he had some changes that he wanted to make. I have to agree that they were probably the way to go. I was still fighting with the idea that it was a little too bulky. So he suggested getting rid of some of the side splitter that was hanging off the side of the car, and also I had like 6 inches of splitter in the front. Said that was way too heavy, so we pushed it back. It's about 2 inches hanging out in the front right now. Also, the side panel here, it kind of looked a little bit like the bow of a battleship. We've eliminated that so that it just comes around this corner flat and blends into this little grill here. And we put a reverse curve in over here so that it just blends out into the bottom side of the fender a little bit better. At any rate, it has reduced the bulk by quite a bit. It's been raised up, like I said before, because everything was just too low. It just looked like a bunch of stuff hanging off of there. Right now, it's where this side panel, the height of it is dictated by the cooler cases that are hanging off the front of the Challenger in their original location. At any rate, this may not be the final. We may have to do a little more tweaking to it here and there. There's lots of little details probably that have to be worked out as you go, little ways that things blend into other things. At any rate, I sent some pictures off, and I'm waiting to hear back from Randy to see what he has to say about this latest version. and where we go from here. So while I'm waiting for that, and I have plenty to keep me busy, I can tell you that much. I have kept putting off starting to work on the bottom of this hood because it's just a bunch of body work that's got to be done, Bondo work and paint, and primer and sanding and stuff like that. But at least I've got the K2 primer shot on it today, and that's the last thing I'm going to do with this today. And then we will go on from here, and I appreciate everybody for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Thanks.